Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Sohail. I'm a poet, a psychotherapist, and also a storyteller. I love to read stories. I love sharing stories. So today I want to share with you my Green Zone story, the story of my Green Zone philosophy. I'm really excited about it because this story has helped many people, my patients, their families, helped community. We have written a number of books. We created a Green Zone community. We made videos. And a number of my friends and my colleagues, my co-therapist Betty Davis and Ann Henderson, my colleagues Samar Ishtiaq and Zahra Naqvi, and now my two other friends who are into making an app, who are into sort of creating this artificial intelligence, Hadiya Yusuf and Dr. Arifa Bhutto. They're all my Green Zone team, and there are a number of volunteers who have been working with me to create a number of activities, a number of products, a number of books, a number of videos to help a lot of people so that they can have a mental health education about Green Zone's philosophy. So today I want to share with you how I conceived it, how I delivered it, how it evolved over the years, so that you have an overview of this idea, this ideal, this concept that we call Green Zone Living. And we have a website, greenzoneliving.ca, that many people visit. And we have a Green Zone community on the Facebook page that people, more than 400 people, they come and visit and discuss and have a dialogue about Green Zone philosophy. So how it all started. I think when I was doing my residency in psychiatry, I was exposed to a traditional psychiatry. I was learning at Memorial University, then I was practicing in Central Care in New Brunswick, then I came to Ontario and I worked in Whitby Psychiatric Hospital for a number of years. All those years that I was studying, I was reading, I was practicing traditional psychiatry, I had some serious concerns about it. I was not happy. I was not pleased. I was not satisfied. So when I asked myself, what are my concerns about traditional psychiatry? So I came up with three concerns. The first concern was that traditional psychiatry was illness oriented. Patients go to their psychiatrist and they are diagnosed. They're having schizophrenia, they have bipolar disorder, they have depression, they have marital problems, they have family problems, they have personality disorders. That diagnosis, that illness that people suffer from, I consider that as a judgment. That is a judgment. It's not a religious or a moral judgment, but it's a professional judgment. And the patient starts to feel that they are sick, they're not well, so that's the concept of the illness. I wanted my practice, I wanted my philosophy to be health oriented. I wanted it to be growth oriented. So that was my first concern. The second concern was that the doctor, the psychiatrist, the specialist is an authority figure. He tells things with authority, he tells the diagnosis with authority, he tells the treatment with authority, and patients follow. I wanted to have a program that was not based on authority, that was more a self-help program. It should focus on the education of the patients, the clients, the people who are struggling with their emotional problems. That was my second concern. The third concern was that all the knowledge, all the experience that experts share, they share in a language that is full of psychiatric jargons, with technical jargons. When you tell a patient that you are having biochemical changes in your brain and you are suffering with a condition in which your brain's biochemical enzymes, dopamine, serotonin, noradrenaline, are low, and you take these medications that will raise it. Although the information is right, but it is for one psychiatrist sharing with another expert. It does not help to tell a layperson, a mother who has grade 8 education, whose son is suffering from depression, or the patient who is a layperson, that he has all these biochemical problems with his brain. So that was the third concern of the technical jargon. So I wanted to have a program, a philosophy, a method of treatment which was familiar with the lay people's sort of knowledge and information, and not get involved in technical, sophisticated, sort of a difficult language. I wanted it to be of a simple language. So all these concerns that I was keeping in my heart and mind, and wanting to create a program that will be a self-help program, a program that will focus on the education of the clients, and written in a language that they could understand. So all these concerns, all these wishes, all these dreams, all these ideals finally came to the forefront when I had a real encounter with a couple. So that's how the story, this is the second part of the story, how this all came about, how the Green Zone philosophy started. So it started with the story of a couple that was referred to me by a family physician. The couple was married for about 12 years. They had a 10-year-old son. This husband was quite verbally abusive to his wife. He used to get angry. He will insult her. He will belittle her. He will say things that were very rude, that were very even verbally violent. And then the next day, he will feel bad, he will feel sorry and apologize. But after a few days, he would do that again. So there was a pattern. There was a pattern of this violence. And as you people know, that many couples, many families that struggle with domestic violence have this pattern. You know, these people who have anger problem, they get angry, they lose control, then they feel bad, then they apologize, and the wife usually forgives, and it continues. In this couple, what happened that when the son was 10-year-old, the mother realized the father was becoming a poor role model for his son. So she gave her husband a warning. She said, "You have serious mental health problems. You go and get help, professional help. And if you get help, then I will stay with you. And if you do not get help, then I'm going to leave." At that moment, the husband realized that the wife was serious. She's going to leave him. So they came to see me. I talked to the husband, and I realized that he genuinely loved his wife. He wanted to change. He wanted to get help. So I started working with him. As I got to know him and tried to find out the reasons why he lost control and he got angry, the husband shared with me that he had a poor role model of his father. His father was also an angry man. And many of these people who have anger problems have poor role models as their fathers. So the father will get angry, lose control, and he would even hit his mother. So my patient, was in a way proud that he never touched his wife, he never hit her, but he was still verbally abusive. So I realized that he genuinely wanted to change. So I worked with him a few more sessions. In one of the sessions, I asked him, "What do you think of your son?" He said, "I love him." I said, "What do you want him to become when he grows up?" He said, "I want him to become a prince." So at that moment, I said to my patient, if you want your son to be a prince, you have to treat his mother like a queen. You treat her like a slave. And you know, a slave's son remains a slave. He does not become a son. He does not become a prince. At that moment, there was a spark in his eyes, and I could see that he felt that connection. And many therapists know that that connection with the patient is very important, because the change in therapy happens in the womb of the relationship, in that context of that relationship that the patient and the therapist develop. So I felt confident that I could develop this connection with him and help him with his problem. So the next time when he came and he was telling me how he gets angry, I just casually said that, "Let me ask you a question." He said, "Go ahead." I said, "When you're driving and you see the amber light, the yellow light, what do you do?" To my utter surprise, he said, "I put my foot on the accelerator." I said, "Why would you do that?" He said, "I'm always in a hurry. Hurry to go to work, hurry to come home, hurry to pick up my son from the babysitter, so I'm always in a hurry." So I smiled and I said, "A wise man puts the foot on the brakes, not on the accelerator, because at that time you are in the yellow zone. So you need to leave the room, give yourself some time, relax, take it easy till you are in your green zone. Then you come back and talk to your wife. This concept clicked with him. He got the idea, and when he went home, he started to practice. So in this way, I introduced him to the concept of the green zone, the yellow zone, and the red zone, connecting that with the visual image of the traffic lights, and he made that connection in his mind, and it was successful. After a month, his wife came, thanked me, and she said, "What have you done to my husband? He is improving, he's trying, he leaves the room, and he tries to control his anger." So I realized that this concept that was made very coincidentally, very casually with my patient did work in his case. So then I thought maybe it is only with him, maybe it may not work with somebody else. So I tried with the second patient, with the third patient, with the fourth patient, and it worked. So gradually I realized that this concept had some practical implication, it had some benefit, and then it can help my clients, my patients. So gradually over the years, then I developed this concept, made it into a philosophy, and published my first book, The Art of Living in Your Green Zone. That was the time I was working with my nurse Ann Henderson. She was quite helpful in developing that concept. Later on, Betty Davis joined us. Then we wrote The Art of Living in Your Green Zone. We wrote The Art of Working in Your Green Zone. We wrote The Art of the Green Zone Living, From Breakdowns to Breakthroughs, a series of books. So in that we developed a number of concepts. So today I'll just share with you some of the concepts, and later on you can read those books or go to the internet to have more details. So the philosophy has three sort of zones. It starts with three zones. They are imaginary emotional zones. When we are in our green zone, we are relaxed, we are happy, we are enjoying life. That is the peacefulness of the green zone. When we are a little upset, a little frustrated, a little angry, we are in our yellow zone. And when we really lose it, we get too depressed, we get too suicidal, we lose control, we are in our red zone. So these are the three ideas, three concepts that connect the emotional states, our moods, our ways of thinking with the zones. Now what we do, we ask our patients to have a green zone diary. In the green zone diary, we ask people to keep a track of their moods, of their zones. So we request them that before they go to bed, they write in their diary, review their last 24 hours, how many hours they spent in the green zone, how many hours they spent in the yellow zone, and how many hours they spent in the red zone. And what was happening? Were they stuck in traffic? Were they having a fight with the wife? Were they frustrated with the children? Were they frustrated with their in-laws? Were they angry with their friends? Whatever the situation is, the idea is to connect the emotional states with the real happenings in life. So after the patients are aware of their zones, the three zones, that awareness is the 50% of the battle, because self-awareness is the first step for an emotional and a social change. Then we go to the three R's. The first R is to recognize. Recognizing going from one zone to the other, how people go from the green zone to the yellow zone, from the yellow zone to the red zone. By doing this, we encourage people to become aware of the triggers. A trigger could be outside trigger, a social trigger, or it could be an emotional trigger. Emotional triggers happen more with people who have low self-esteem. We call it negative self-talk. People who have low self-esteem, they say to themselves, I'm not a good person, I'm not a good mother, I'm not a good father, I don't provide for my family, I'm not good to my relatives. So there is a negative self-talk that goes on, and that can put people in the yellow and the red zone. So we help people to become aware of their self-esteem, self-worth, self-image, self-confidence, because that contributes in people going into the yellow and the red zone. So once they recognize the triggers, how they go to the yellow and the red zone, the second R is to recover. We ask them that somebody might put them in the yellow and the red zone, but they're not going to come to take them back to the green zone. So they have to learn. The second R is to recover. How do you get back to the green zone? Somebody can go for a walk, somebody can read a book, somebody can listen to a music, somebody can play with their grandchildren, somebody can talk to their best friend. So whatever the method is, that to learn the skill to recover from the yellow and the red zone back to the green. Some people ask me that we understand the green and the red zone, why there is a yellow zone. And I tell them yellow zone is very important because in the yellow zone, you can turn around and go back to the green. It's easier. Once you fall into the red zone, then it's harder to go back. So jokingly we say that you can, even if you go to the yellow and the red, drive through it, don't park there. The less time you spend there, the better. So the second R is to recover. The third R is to restrain. Restraining means once you know what the triggers are, then those triggers will happen again and again and again, next week, next month, next year. So we need to plan how to avoid those situations, how to deal with that. I usually share some of my own struggles with my patients so that they feel connected with me. I tell them my own stories. So one of the stories I share with my patients is that when I was developing this program, this GreenZone philosophy, I did my own self-analysis. I kept my own diary for 40 days. And I realized that one of the triggers was heavy traffic. I live in the east end of the town, and most of my friends live on the west end of the town, in Mississauga, in Oakville, in Milton. I live in Whitby, which is east of Toronto. So I used to get stuck in traffic, and I would get into the red zone because I will be half an hour late for my appointment. So what I did, I, number one, got a cell phone. At that time, I didn't have a cell phone. Number two, I would call my friend before I leave to tell them that I'm leaving my home. And then my friends will reassure me, oh, Dr. Sohail, don't worry. If you're 15 minutes late, it's just a social evening. And the third thing was, I collected at that time some CDs of my favorite musicians, artists. In Urdu, my favorite were Abida Parveen and Nusrat Fateh Ali and Pathane Khan and Nayyar Noor. And in English, I had Kenny G and Kenny Rogers and Neil Diamond and Phil Collins and all those. So these music CDs, now I consult the YouTube, then when I'm listening to them, that helps me stay in my green zone. So the idea is that to learn, because it's a self-help program, that to learn that there are 3 R's. 1 R is to recognize, going from the green to the yellow to the red. Second R is to recover. The third R is to restrain. We usually tell our patients that the green zone people act, the red zone people react. So we have to learn how not to react. So this is one of the keys to stay in the green zone philosophy. Follow it and stay more and more time in your green zone. So after 3 hours, up to this time, the focus is only on the individual. You are focusing on your own emotional state and increasing your green zone hours. The next part is the relationships. Most of us are in marital, in family, in friendly, collegial relationships. So we ask our patients to make a list of all their relationships that are significant to them. And then to ask themselves, are the relationships are in the green zone? Are they in the yellow zone? Are they in the red zone? The relationship that we enjoy, the relationship that we are happy with, they're our green zone relationships. The relationships that is full of tension, frustration, they're in the yellow zone. And the people who hate us, or we hate them, or we do not want to see their face because they're very traumatizing, we call those relationships red zone relationship. So identifying the green, yellow, red zone relationships is very important part of the green zone philosophy. Then we encourage people to write letters. We ask them to write letters to the green zone friends to cherish and encourage and support and be grateful for those relationships. And for the yellow and the red zone relationships, we ask them to write letters and encourage or suggest that let's bring the relationships in the green zone. So there are 3 ways of bringing the relationship to the green zone. One is to resolve, second is to dissolve, and the third is to mediate. In resolving, both parties agree with each other that their relationship is not very comfortable, they're not happy, and they are going to do something, improve the communication, do their homework to bring it to the green zone. If that is not possible, Then we suggest people to dissolve. Some relationships can let go, that if they're creating too much pain and stress and lot of emotional trauma, we can say goodbye to those relationships. Or the third way is to mediate, to find somebody who will be the mediator. The mediator could be a friend, the mediator could be a teacher, could be a therapist, could be an elder. The mediator has to be in the green zone with both parties. Both parties have to respect that person, to let them intervene and help them with that. So these are the relationships. Then we go to the next stage, and that we call systems, the three systems. Because most of us are living a life in three systems. Family is a system, work is a system, community is a system. So the way the individuals are in the green zone, yellow zone, and red zone, similarly, the systems are also in the green zone, in the yellow zone, in the red zone. The green zone systems, people feel cherished, they are appreciated, they contribute, and they are part of the growth of the community. In the yellow zone systems, people are not appreciated, they are not respected, and the person is doing only that out of obligation. And in the red zone system, they feel there is a bias, there is a prejudice, there is a resentment, and in many communities, children or women or minorities, they feel that they are being singled out, they are not respected, they do not have the equal human rights like the rest of the community, like the majority. So knowing that we are living or working in a red zone system helps us decide. So then you can plan a support network that is like an emotional raincoat, where you have some friends who help you, support you to deal with the red zone system, or you leave it and join in a green zone system. So these are the step by step, from the individual to the relationship to the systems. Then we go to the next stage and creating a green zone lifestyle. So in the green zone lifestyle, we help people that there are three parts there to their personality. According to the green zone philosophy, a child is born with a natural self, the natural talent, the natural sort of qualities, the natural gifts. With the passage of time, because of the social, religious, and cultural conditioning, the natural self divides into two parts. One is conditioned self. The conditioned self is guided by what people should do, what they must do, what they have to do. These are the parts of the conditioned self. At the same time, there's another part of the self that we call creative self. Creative self is guided by what people like to do, what they want to do, what they love to do. So we make people aware of their creative self and of their conditioned self. We ask them to make a list of all the activities they do, what they think they should do, and the activities they love to do. We ask them to have a green zone hour each day, 1 hour a day, in which they do what they love to do. So in that way, their creative self, their green zone self, becomes more and more is well developed. Then after that, we ask them to take 3 steps towards green zone living. There are 3 steps. The first step is creating, second is sharing, and the third is serving. Creating is getting in touch with one's natural gift. Every child is born with a special gift, and for us to recognize that gift, that special gift, is creating. Then we create a circle of friends that we call family of the heart, in which we share that creative gift. We enjoy, we cherish, we sort of share those creative activities. And then the final is serving. Serving is doing some voluntary work, contributing to the community. That the way we gain a lot of things from our community, from our family, then we serve the family, we serve the community, but something that we enjoy doing, not out of obligation, but out of the goodness of our heart, that we are contributing. So this is step by step. We are I'm sharing with you the Green Zone philosophy. So what we did after all these books, we wrote another book, Green Zone Living, in which we created a 7-step program. In that 7-step program, we guide people to go from one step to the other, do the homework. And so we are planning to create an app in which people are guided from step by step to follow these 7 steps. And after following the 7 steps for a few weeks and months, and if they still do not feel that they are living in the green zone, that we encourage them to get some professional help to get some support from the professionals, and we are creating a system. So after writing these books, I started writing articles, blogs on Humsab magazine, and more people started to connect with me, and I started writing the English books into Urdu columns and blogs. And my friend Samar Ishtiaq helped me translate that book into Urdu. So we now have a book in Urdu that shows this 7 steps program. Zahra Naqvi joined us, and we had a series of workshops in which many people joined us with the number of activities, a number of GreenZone sort of skills they learned. So after that, we created a GreenZone community. There's a Facebook page, that a lot of people have joined. And now we are in the process of creating an app, so that once the app is created, then more and more people can follow the program and can sort of have a self-help understanding and create their own sort of skills and their own steps and their own lifestyle, in which GreenZone living that we call is a healthy, happy and peaceful living. And each person is unique. And these days we are into the era of a pandemic. There is a corona pandemic all around. The whole world is in the red zone, and we are saying that each person, when they follow the GreenZone philosophy, they become an island. It's a GreenZone island in the red zone sea. Now I had that concept when I was studying the world peace movement. People like Leo Tolstoy from Russia, people like Mohandas Gandhi in India, Martin Luther King in America. And when I went to South Africa, I saw that Nelson Mandela was for 25 years on that Robben Island. Before the revolution in South Africa, I visited in 80s, and I was pleasantly surprised, impressed and inspired that even after 25 years, Nelson Mandela never became bitter or angry or resentful. He was still full of love and caring and warmth and wisdom, because he has made the Robben Island as a green zone island for the red zone sea of apartheid. So I'm giving these examples that even when the environment is a red zone environment, if we are sort of in touch with our green zone, we can become green zone islands, and then we share that with our dear ones, with our family, with our friends, with our community, and be part of creating a green zone world. So this green zone philosophy is my green zone dream, so that more and more people learn it, more and more people adopt it, they follow it, they become green zone people themselves, and then they share this philosophy with their dear ones, and more people, by becoming green zone islands, become part of becoming, creating a green zone world. So all the volunteers, all the friends who helped me in creating this green zone philosophy, evolving it. So it took me about 20 years to create it, to deliver it, and in the last 20 years I've been practicing it. And this is one philosophy that I practice myself. So I say I teach what I practice, and I practice what I teach. So in that way, I want to thank all my friends and colleagues and clients and their families who were part of creating this green zone philosophy. I'm learning from it, and I hope I keep on following it for the rest of my life. And this is my green zone gift to the world, to the suffering of humanity, so that they can have some hope of creating a happy, healthy and peaceful world at an individual level and a collective level. So I thought I'll share this philosophy in my own words, while my colleagues and friends are sharing in their words. So thank you very much for giving me that time and letting me share this green zone story with you. Thank you.